Ava, I said, let's just cut the crap. I'm taking that Wyoming deployment. And this wedding? It's off. What? What are you saying? Ryan, do you have any idea what you're talking about? Oh, I know exactly what I'm talking about. I took a step closer, backing her against the wall. A year ago, I saved your life. And you? You repay me by getting pregnant with another man's baby? Huh. The color drained from her face instantly. Her lips trembled, but she couldn't form a single word. The night before Caleb Vance flew to England for his fellowship. What happened between you two? Do I really have to spell it out? What the hell? Am I still dreaming? The woman in front of me, Ava Vance, my director at the agency and my fiancée, was holding up a sample of a crimson wedding invitation, her smile as gentle and flowing as water. Yeah, right? Even thinking that word makes me sick to my stomach. Ryan, look, is the calligraphy on this centered right? I think this print shop is really good. She leaned in close. I used to love her perfume, but now it just smelled cheap and suffocating. I stared at her, then looked down at my own hands. They were young, strong. None of the calluses and scars from years of grinding it out were there. I looked up again, my eyes landing on her stomach, still flat, not showing anything yet. Boom! It felt like my brain had been run over by a semi-truck. The memories from a second ago were still scorching hot. I was dying in a hospital bed, my soul floating out of my body, just in time to see my dear wife, Ava. She was nestled in the arms of my cultured cousin, Caleb Vance, tears streaming down her face. And then I heard her words, every single one a knife in the gut. Caleb, thank God you're back. Our son. He finally doesn't have to call another man dad anymore. That night, before you left for England, I was drunk, but I wanted it. Ryan, that idiot. He was so easy to fool. I told him the baby was his, and he just believed me. Protected us for all these years. Fuck. The rage was so intense, I thought my soul would dissipate right then and there. So, I've been the sucker for 10 years, raising another man's kid. I wore the biggest pair of horns in history, only to die watching this cheating pair confess their true love. Ryan, what's wrong? Why are you spacing out? Ava waved a hand in front of my face, her brow furrowed with that familiar, non-negotiable tone she used as my boss. We need to decide on this. We're running out of time. I snapped back to reality, my stomach churning so violently I almost threw up right on her designer shoes. I was reborn. Holy shit, I was actually reborn. And from the looks of it, I was back to about a month after I'd supposedly slept with her, just days before the goddamn wedding. It's nothing. I pinched my thigh hard. The sharp pain made me wince. Okay, not a dream. This was more real than a nightmare. There was no way in hell I was going down that same path again. Probably just didn't sleep well last night. I managed, forcing a smile that felt twisted on my face. You must be exhausted, Ava said, putting down the invitation. She reached out to massage my shoulders, a gesture that felt sickeningly natural to her. Planning a wedding is stressful, but you need to pull your weight. I recoiled from her touch like I'd been hit with a taser. The second she touched me, all I could see was her in bed with Caleb. Disgusting. Absolutely fucking disgusting. Her hand froze in midair. What's wrong with you? You're being weird. I'm fine, really, I said quickly, looking down to hide the hatred in my eyes. I grabbed the invitation sample. This one. Yeah, this one's fine. It's great. You decide. I had to stay calm. I had to. If I blew up now, it wouldn't do me any good. This woman was my boss, and her family had connections. If I made a scene, I'd be the one to lose. Honestly, the biggest day of your life, and you're this casual about it, she chided, but she dropped it and went back to studying the invitation. Hey, do you think we should send a separate one to Caleb? So he can share in the happiness. Caleb. It was always fucking Caleb. I could feel my jaw grinding. How did I never notice in my last life that she couldn't go 3 sentences without mentioning her cousin? Share in the happiness? My happiness was the goddamn misery you two caused. Whatever. I grunted, squeezing the word out. What do you mean, whatever? She said, lost in her own world. Caleb has great taste. He can help me pick out my dress when the time comes. Oh, and have you read that book he sent? The one on the nightstand? It's so well written. He's a real intellectual. Seeing that look of adoration on her face, I wanted to grab that stupid book and smash it over her head. An intellectual? An intellectual who specializes in screwing his cousin's fiancée. I took a deep breath, fighting the urge to lose control. Nope, I needed a distraction. I need to use the bathroom. I stood up and practically bolted into the restroom. I slammed the door and stared at my reflection in the mirror. My eyes were bloodshot. It was the face of a guy in his 20s, young and full of potential, but inside was the soul of a man in his 30s who had died cheated, humiliated, and full of regret. Ava Vance, Caleb Vance. I whispered their names, my fists clenched so tight my knuckles were white. God gave me a second chance, and it sure as hell wasn't to watch you two put on the same show again. You just wait. In this version, I'm the director. A wedding? My ass. Not only am I going to burn this wedding to the ground, but I'm going to take everything you two care about, piece by piece, and shatter it. I stayed in the bathroom for a good 10 minutes, forcing down the murderous rage. When I opened the door, Ava was still fussing over the invitations. "What took you so long?" she asked without looking up. Stomach's a little upset. I mumbled, my mind already racing. I remember it clearly. About 3 or 4 days before the wedding, a disaster was going to hit the Mountain West. A mudslide, I think. A call would go out for a rapid deployment of technical specialists. In my last life, I had wanted to go, but Ava had shut it down, using the wedding and family responsibility as leverage. I missed my one great chance to earn a major commendation and get the hell out of this mess. This time, anyone who gets in my way is going to get run over. "Ava," I said, intentionally using her first name in that intimate way we used to, though it made my own skin crawl. I heard things are a little rough out in the Wyoming sector right now. She finally looked up, a hint of suspicion in her eyes. "Who told you that? There's a minor situation, but it has nothing to do with us. Your number one priority right now is this wedding. After that, you can focus on your work." See, there it was. It was already starting. I plastered on a fake smile. "Oh, just curious. Anyway, I'm going to step out for a smoke." I was out the door before she could object. Standing in the hallway, I lit a cigarette and took a long, hard drag. The nicotine did its job, calming my nerves just enough. "Fine, Ava. You keep dreaming your perfect little bride-to-be dreams. My target is Wyoming. As for you, and the bastard growing in your belly, you're not my problem anymore." I finished the cigarette, grinding out under my heel. The disorientation from being reborn was gone, replaced by a cold, clear-eyed hatred and a single-minded goal. I walked back in, my honest, easy-to-fool mask back in place. "You're back." Ava was still looking at invitation samples. "My mom just called, asking about the menu for the reception." "You decide," I said with a big, dopey smile. "Whatever you want is fine with me." As she looked down, pleased, I sneered internally. "Whatever I want. Oh, you'll get it. You're about to find out what a real surprise looks like." 2. Something came up at the command center. I've got to head in for a bit. I couldn't stand being in the apartment for another second, so I made an excuse. What could possibly be more important than our wedding? Her tone shifted, that familiar edge of a boss talking to a subordinate creeping in. I laughed it off, but my insides curdled. "Hey, director, give a guy a break. It's official business. I'll be back as soon as it's wrapped. You handle the menu. You've got way better taste than me anyway. Whatever you pick will be perfect." I deliberately emphasized director, keeping the tone light and playful. It seemed to work. She rolled her eyes but didn't push it. "You and your smart mouth. Fine. I'll take care of it. Just be back early." "Yes, ma'am." I gave a mock salute that made me want to vomit. I stood up, pretending to wander over to the desk, my eyes scanning for anything, any clue about when the deployment order for Wyoming might come down. "What are you looking for?" Ava asked, noticing me rummaging around. "Oh, just an old training manual. Thought of something I might need." As I flipped through random files, my mind raced. When did the call come last time? I think Big Mike had come over that morning to complain, saying they always pick the worst times, right when a guy's about to get hitched. Just then, the landline rang. Ava went to get it. "Hello." "Oh, don't go." Yes, we're getting everything ready. It's been a whirlwind." She was chatting, her tone relaxed. "Perfect." I strained to listen while my hands kept searching. I didn't even know what I was looking for. It was just a feeling, an instinct that I had to do something besides just wait. "Best man." "Oh, we asked Liam for my team." "What? Caleb?" Her voice perked up, full of amusement. "Caleb would love to be his cousin's best man, I'm sure, but there's no way he can get back. He's swamped with his studies over in England. Such a shame." There was again. Caleb. Goddamn Caleb. The guy was a ghost haunting every conversation. I gripped an old binder, my knuckles turning white. The undisguised regret in her voice made me sick. I forced myself to breathe. Don't lose it. Don't fucking lose it. Don't let one wrong move screw this all up. She was still gushing on the phone. I know, a fellowship at Cambridge, such a rare opportunity. He was always so brilliant, even as a kid. Way smarter than my Ryan. All he knows how to do is grunt work. Fuck you. I almost tore the binder in half. You want to praise your lover? Fine, but do you have to shit on me to do it? Grunt work. Who was I doing that grunt work for? Weren't you the one who told me you loved how dependable and down-to-earth I was? I was cursing a blue streak in my head, but my face remained a blank mask. I pretended I hadn't heard a thing. Finally, she hung up. I quickly acted like I'd found what I was looking for, holding up a random folder. Got it. I'm heading to the center. Okay, go on. She seemed to be in a good mood and didn't notice the look on my face. Be back early. We have to go to my parents for dinner tonight. Got it, I replied, practically fleeing the apartment. Outside, the cool air hit my face and the knot of nausea in my chest finally started to loosen. Jesus, being in the same room with that woman was pure torture. I didn't go to the command center. I went to the small training field behind the barracks instead. I needed to be alone, to think. The field was empty. I found a pull-up bar in the corner, hopped up to sit on it, and lit a cigarette. I had so little information. When exactly was the deployment order coming? I had to be ready. The second it dropped, I'd be the first to submit my application. No one was stopping me this time. And Ava. The wedding was a week away. I had to keep her guard down. Can't have her pulling some last-minute stunt. How though? Right money. In my first life, I'd handed over my entire salary and savings to her, under the guise of our future fund. I wasn't going to be that stupid again. As I was thinking, I saw my buddy, Big Mike, wandering over. Ellie, what are you doing hiding out here? Shouldn't you be busy playing groom? He joked. A thought sparked in my mind. This was it. This was my chance. I tossed him a cigarette. Busy with what? A million stupid errands. My head's about to explode. You guys have it easy. Big Mike lit his smoke, nodding sympathetically. Tell me about it. Hey, I heard things are getting a little messy out in the Mountain West. Hope a deployment order doesn't drop now. That would really screw things up. Bingo. That was the line. My heart skipped a beat, but I kept my face neutral. Huh. The Mountain West. What's going on? I haven't heard anything. Just some chatter I picked up from the comms guys, Big Mike said, lowering his voice. Sounds like some major comms line or a relay station got wiped out. They're short-handed out there, probably going to have to pull specialists from our unit to help. Most likely our team. I feigned a frown. No way. Not right now. Who knows? It's all up to the brass. Big Mike blew a smoke ring. Anyway, your timing is perfect. Even if they do deploy a team, they wouldn't pick you. Director Vance would be the first one to shoot that down. Ha. I managed a dry laugh, but inside I was ecstatic. Information confirmed. It was happening in the next few days. The official notice would probably come down tomorrow or the day after. We shot the shit for a few more minutes before Mike left. I sat on the bar, the cigarette burning down to my fingers without me noticing. Okay, the timeline was clear. Next step, figure out how to be the first one to volunteer the second the notice drops, and how to shut Ava down when she inevitably tries to block me. Money. I needed to get some of my cash back. The excuse would be easy enough. My mind made up, I hopped off the bar, dusted myself off, and headed back. Time to get back into character. When I got back to the apartment, Ava was predictably still engrossed in wedding crap. The coffee table was covered in samples of favor boxes. You're back? All done at the center? She asked. Yeah, nothing major. I walked over, putting on a slightly troubled expression. Ava, can I talk to you about something? What is it? She looked up. So, a few of my old army buddies from out of state, they heard I was getting married and insisted on coming. I started spinning my tale, my face a mask of sincerity. They're coming all this way, I gotta put them up, show them a good time, you know? I'm a little short on cash right now. Could you spot me some? Ava blinked, clearly surprised by the request. I always gave her money, never asked for it back. How much do you need? How many guys are coming? Isn't the hotel already booked? She asked a rapid-fire series of questions. The rooms are booked, yeah, but I gotta take them out for a proper dinner, maybe a few rounds at a bar, you know? I said, deliberately making it sound a little crude. It's a guy thing. How about 3? No, 5,000. 5,000? That's a lot, she hesitated. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. These are my brothers in arms, I said, adding a dramatic flair. I swear, as soon as the wedding gifts come in, I'll pay it right back. This is just to get me through. She stared at me for a few seconds. The reason, while sudden, must have seemed plausible enough. She knew how much my old army crew meant to me. Finally, she nodded. All right, I'll get it for you in a bit. Just don't go blowing it on something stupid. I won't, I promise. Not a penny wasted. I thumped my chest, thinking, this isn't wasting money. This is a war chest. She got up and went to the bedroom to get the cash. I watched her go, a cold smile on my face. Getting the money was just the first step. Ava, the show is just getting started. You and your precious cousin just wait for the wedding gift I have in store for you. Big Mike's rumor was the trailer. The main feature was about to start. I got to the center early the next morning, my ass barely in my chair. That's when I saw our unit's captain, Captain Miller, striding in from outside, face like a thundercloud, clutching a folder. My stomach dropped. This was it. Sure enough, the piercing sound of the assembly alarm blared through the building, sharp enough to make your teeth hurt. All teams. Main briefing room. Emergency meeting now, the comms officer yelled down the hall. I shot to my feet, my heart pounding in my chest. Not from fear, but from goddamn anticipation. This was the moment. I joined a stream of people heading to the briefing room. My eyes locked on Captain Miller's back. The room was packed, smelling of stale coffee and nervous energy. Captain Miller stood at the front, his expression grim. All right, settle down, he barked, and the room went quiet. Just got an emergency directive from HQ. He held up the folder. Massive mudslides up on the Wyoming-Montana border took out a huge section of the main communications trunk line. We've got multiple ranger stations and outposts totally dark. The situation is critical. We need to deploy a team of technical specialists, people who know fiber and can handle rough terrain, to head up there and lead the repairs. Immediately, a low murmur went through the room. Wyoming? Holy shit, when do we leave? How many people are they taking? Captain Miller slammed his hand on the table. Quiet. This is a Priority 1 deployment. Technically, it's voluntary, but I expect our senior techs and team leads to step up. Anyone who's in, report to me right after this briefing. The roster will be finalized this afternoon. Wheels up tomorrow at 0500. Tomorrow? That's fast, someone exclaimed. Perfect, I thought. The timing couldn't be better. The moment the meeting was dismissed, the crowd started shuffling out, most of them muttering, weighing their options. I didn't hesitate. I pushed against the current, heading straight for the captain. Captain Miller, I'm in. I made sure my voice was loud enough for everyone to hear. Miller looked up and saw me, a flicker of surprise on his face. Pierce, what are you getting into this for? Aren't you? You're supposed to be getting married next week, right? Mission comes first, sir. Personal matters can be rescheduled. I stood ramrod straight, my voice booming with conviction. My skills are a match. I'm senior grade. I meet every requirement. I request that the agency consider me first. Captain Miller stared at me, a complicated look in his eyes. He was probably wondering where this sudden, over-the-top dedication was coming from. He clapped me on the shoulder. Attaboy, Pierce. I like the spirit. But maybe you should talk this over with Director Vance first. No need to talk to her, sir. I cut him off, my tone absolute. She'll support the decision. Securing national infrastructure is everyone's duty. Please, sir, give me this opportunity. The bullshit I was spouting even sounded fake to me. But in this context, it was exactly what they wanted to hear. My response seemed to stun Miller for a second. Some of my teammates had gathered around. A few tried to reason with me. Reman, you sure about this? What about the wedding? Others were egging me on. Damn, Pierce. Talk about dedication. I ignored them all, my eyes fixed on the captain. Put my name on that list, sir. All right, Miller said, finally giving in, probably worn down by my enthusiasm. He made a note on his clipboard. You're on the volunteer list. We'll confirm the final roster later. Yes, sir. A weight lifted off my shoulders. Step 1 complete. I pushed my way out of the crowd, eager to get back and write a formal request to seal the deal. But as I reached the doorway, I almost collided with someone. I looked up and my heart sank. Ava. Her face was tight with anger. She had obviously heard the news and come running. She grabbed my arm, her grip surprisingly strong, and pulled me into an empty corner of the hallway. "Ryan, what the hell do you think you're doing?" she hissed, her voice low but furious. "Wyoming? You volunteered? Are you insane? Here we go." I knew she'd try to stop me. I played dumb. "What? What's the problem? It's a critical mission, and I'm qualified." So I volunteered. Qualified my ass. She was genuinely furious now, her professional demeanor gone. "You're getting married in a week. Have you forgotten? The invitations are out. The venue is booked. We've told all our friends and family. And you decide now is a good time to run off to Wyoming? Is this some kind of sick joke?" "It's an emergency deployment," I said, keeping my expression innocent. "It'll be too late if I go after the wedding." "Too late for what? Is the world going to stop turning if you're not there?" she shot back, glaring at me. "Go tell Captain Miller you can't go. I want you to withdraw your name." "Now, I can't do that," I said, frowning. "I already put my name in. A senior tech backing out after volunteering? How would that look? What would the guys on the team think of me?" "You care more about your reputation than our wedding?" she seethed. "Ryan, I'm telling you, this is not up for discussion. You're not going. I'll talk to Captain Miller myself." A cold smile touched my lips. "Of course. Pulling rank. Talk to him." I looked her straight in the eye. "Director Vance, are you planning on interfering with official deployment assignments? We're supposed to keep our personal and professional lives separate, aren't we?" My words stopped her cold. She was probably shocked I was talking to her like this. I was usually the one who just went along with her decisions. She took a deep breath, trying a different tactic. "Ryan, don't be an idiot. Think about it. If you leave, what happens to the wedding? What am I supposed to do by myself? Who's going to handle everything? Can't you think about me for 1 second?" "Think about you? In my last life, all I did was think about you, and look where it got me." But my face remained impassive. "The wedding, we can postpone it. We'll do it when I get back. It's not like I'm not coming back." When I said that last part, I gave her a pointed look. Her eyes flickered with something. Panic? But she quickly covered it with defiance. "Don't be ridiculous. We can't just change the date. It's bad luck. Besides, I haven't been feeling well lately. You know that." She was playing the pregnancy card, trying to use the baby to control me. The thought of whose baby it really was made my blood boil. I suppressed my rage and deliberately misinterpreted her. "If you're not feeling well, then that's all the more reason not to overexert yourself with a wedding, right? It's perfect. I'll be on deployment, and you can stay home and get some rest. By the time I get back, you'll be feeling better, and we can have an even bigger celebration. It's a win-win." She pointed a trembling finger at me. "Ryan, are you determined to fight me on this today? Is that it? Fight you? How is this fighting you?" I held out my hands. "I'm just following orders, contributing to the mission, and making sure you get some much-needed rest. It's the best of both worlds, Director." She was out of options. Seeing that bulldozing me wasn't working, she switched to playing the victim. Her eyes welled up, and her voice became thick with emotion. "Ryan, can't you just think about me? I am scared. I'm scared something will happen to you out there. The conditions in Wyoming are awful. I'm worried about you." If this had been my past life, her act would have melted my heart, and I would have agreed to anything. But now, watching her squeeze out those fake tears, all I felt was disgust. "Worried about me? You're worried your plan is falling apart. You're worried you're about to lose your fall guy." The revulsion was overwhelming, but I had to see the act through. I leaned in closer, my voice low and seemingly sincere. "Ava, don't worry. I'm tough. I'll be fine. You just stay home and wait for me. Don't overthink things. Especially, don't spend too much time thinking about your precious cousin in England. Think about me instead." I said the words precious cousin softly, but with enough edge that she couldn't miss it. Her face went bone white. Her eyes widened in shock. She looked like she'd seen a ghost, staring at me, her fake tears instantly forgotten. I pretended not to notice, patting her on the shoulder before turning to leave. "I'm going to go write up my deployment request, Director. See you later." I walked away quickly, feeling her eyes burning into my back. "Stop me? Ava, we're just getting started. The harder you try to stop me, the more determined I am to go. Just wait. Tomorrow morning, I'm on that transport. This is my game now, and I'm calling the shots." For I walked straight into the unit's administrative office. Big Mike was in there with his feet up on the desk, drinking coffee and reading the news on his tablet. "Mike, where are the deployment request forms?" I need one now, I said, my voice urgent. He jumped, dropping his tablet. Jesus, Ree, you're serious? Director Vance did not look happy out there. You two okay? We're fine. Just give me the damn form. I didn't have time to humor him. Mike reluctantly dug out a form and handed it to me. I grabbed a pen and started filling it out. Name, rank, reason for request. Writing as if I'd rehearsed it 100 times. For the reason, I wrote, as a senior team member, I volunteer to serve where I am most needed, which sounded like total bullshit even to me. I was halfway through when the office door slammed open. Ava was standing there, her face ashen, her chest heaving. She had clearly run all the way here. Her eyes were locked on me, or rather on the four in my hand. Ryan, get out here. Her voice was strained, no longer the composed command of a director, but the shrill, desperate cry of someone losing control. Big Mike shrank in his chair, trying to become invisible. I put down the pen. A strange sense of calm washed over me. It was coming anyway. Better to get it over with now. I followed her out. She didn't go to her office, but dragged me into the stairwell, a place no one ever used. What the hell do you think you're doing? She demanded the second we were alone, her voice a low hiss. Volunteering? Filling out a request form? Are you trying to go behind my back, Ryan? I just looked at her, saying nothing. My silence only made her angrier. Answer me. And what did you mean by that comment earlier? About my cousin? What were you trying to imply? What was I implying? Don't you know? I finally spoke, my voice so cold it sounded foreign even to me. Her pupils contracted. She was panicking, but trying to brazen it out. Know what? I don't know anything. All I know is that you've lost your mind. You're throwing away our wedding for some stupid deployment and talking crazy. A stupid deployment? I scoffed. Securing critical national infrastructure is a stupid deployment. Director Vance, your professional attitude seems to be slipping. Don't you dare try to lecture me. She snapped. I'm talking to you as your fiancé right now. I forbid you from going. You're going to withdraw that request. And if I don't, I stare her down. You. She was breathing heavily, then lunged, trying to snatch the half-finished form from my hand. I easily sidestepped her. Ava, I said, deciding it was time. There was no point in pretending anymore. Let's just cut the crap. I'm taking that Wyoming deployment. And this wedding, it's off. She froze as if she'd been struck by lightning, her eyes wide with disbelief. What? What are you saying? Ryan, do you have any idea what you're talking about? Oh, I know exactly what I'm talking about. I took a step closer, backing her against the wall, my voice dropping to a low, menacing register. A year ago, I saved your life. And you? You repay me by getting pregnant with another man's baby? Huh. The color drained from her face instantly. Her lips trembled, but she couldn't form a single word. The night before Caleb Vance flew to England for his fellowship. What happened between you two? Do I really have to spell it out? I held her gaze, my words landing like hammer blows. You're lying. That's not. It never happened. She stumbled backward, hitting the concrete wall, her voice sharp but trembling, her eyes filled with terror. Who's been feeding you these lies? This is slander. Slander? I let out a cold, humorless laugh. Ava, we're past that point. Is there any use in pretending anymore? You think you covered your tracks perfectly? You think I'm really the same idiot you can play for the rest of your life? That baby is not mine. It's Caleb's, isn't it? My voice rose, still contained in the stairwell, but seething with a fury I could no longer hide. You were terrified of the scandal, afraid of the shame, so you dragged me in to be your sucker. Sleeping with me? You were blackout drunk that night. I thought it was mutual, but now the memory just makes me sick. You used me to give your and Caleb's bastard a father. Didn't you? With every question, her face grew paler, her body shaking more violently. Her mouth hung open, trying to form a rebuttal, but no sound came out. Only tears streaming uncontrollably down her face. Whether from fear or regret, I couldn't tell. No, it wasn't like that. She finally managed to choke out, her voice pitifully weak. I was drunk. I didn't mean for it to happen. Ryan, please let me explain. Explain. I cut her off, my eyes devoid of any warmth. Explain how you were thinking of Caleb while you were lying in my arms. Explain how you could live with yourself, letting me raise another man's child. Ava, save your explanation. You can give it to HR. Let's see if they buy your bullshit story about a drunken mistake. The mention of HR made her completely fall apart. She lunged forward, grabbing my arm, sobbing uncontrollably. No, Ryan, please. I'm begging you, don't tell anyone. They can't know. I was wrong. I know I was wrong. It was a moment of weakness. I do love you. Love me? I felt like I just heard the joke of the century. I ripped my arm from her grasp. Your love is putting a knife in my back and making me a laughingstock. Your love is too damn expensive for me. I can't afford it. I watched her slide down the wall, a crumpled, sobbing mess. I felt nothing but cold, hard contempt. The tears I shed in my last life were all used up. The wedding is canceled, I declared, my voice flat and final. From this moment on, you go your way, I'll go mine. We're done. Without another glance at her, I turned and walked away. Ryan, don't go. She wailed desperately behind me. The baby needs a father. I didn't even break my stride. Father, go find a real one. I walked straight back to the admin office. Under Big Mike's stunned gaze, I picked up the pen and at the bottom of the request form, I added one final forceful sentence. All personal matters have been resolved. There are no outstanding issues preventing deployment. Requesting immediate approval. Then I slapped the form down on the desk in front of him. File it. Without waiting for a response, I walked out of the command center. The sky outside was bright, the sun almost blinding. I took a deep breath. The suffocating weight I had carried for an entire lifetime was finally, blessedly, gone. Damn, that felt good. 5 forms submitted. I felt incredible, like I just dropped a 300-pound pack off my back. Go back to my quarters? Fentanyl. Just the thought of that place made me sick. I headed straight for my buddy Dave's dorm room and kicked the door open. Dave, I'm crashing with you for a couple of days. My place is toxic. I tossed my duffel bag onto the empty bottom bunk. Dave was cleaning his service weapon and nearly dropped it. Ellie, what the hell? Did you and Director Vance finally have it out? News travels fast around here. We didn't have it out. We're done, I said flatly, sitting on his bed and tossing him a cigarette. Done. Dave's eyes practically popped out his head. You're kidding, right? The wedding is next week. Was next week, I said, taking a long drag. Turns out I was being played for a fool. You think I'm still going to marry her after that? Dave was still trying to process it, about to ask more questions. I held up a hand. Don't ask. It's a mess. I don't want to talk about it. Point is, I'm single again and about to throw myself into my work. Off to Wyoming to be a hero. Just then, there was a knock on the door. It was a clerk from the comms office. Ryan Pierce? Rosters confirmed. You're on it. 0500 tomorrow. Main parking lot. Buses leave then. Here's your deployment order. He handed me a piece of paper. I took it, stuffed it in my pocket without a glance. Thanks. The clerk gave me a weird look, like he wanted to say something, but he just shook his head and left. Dave leaned in. Holy shit, Eddie. You're really doing this. Damn right I am. I cut him off. It's exactly what I need. A clean break. My phone blew up all afternoon. First, it was Ava's mother, who laid into me without even a hello, screaming about how I had no conscience, how I'd betrayed her daughter, and demanding I go apologize immediately. I just said, Ma'am, why don't you ask your daughter who betrayed who? I am Busa. Goodbye, and hung up. Then came the calls from random relatives I barely knew, some trying to mediate, others just fishing for gossip. It was exhausting. After the second one, I just started answering with, hello? Hello? You're breaking up. I can't hear you. Then I turned my phone off. The world went blissfully silent. That night, sleeping on Dave's rock-hard bunk, I had the best night's sleep I'd had in ages. Just knowing that tomorrow I'd be free of all this crap. I probably snored louder than ever. The next morning, before the sun was even up, the sound of diesel engines echoed across the parking lot. I showed up with my bag and joined the line of guys already there. The deployment was being led by a tough-as-nails deputy chief. He saw me and gave a nod. Pierce, do good work out there. Yes, sir. I barked back. Most of the other guys looked grim. This was a tough, undesirable assignment. I was the only one who felt a sense of calm, even excitement. As the bus engine roared to life, I thought I saw a figure running towards us in the distance. It was Ava, her hair a mess, her eyes swollen. She tried to rush the bus, but was held back by a couple of security guards. She was yelling something. I couldn't hear it, and I didn't want to. I rolled up the window, leaned back in my seat, and closed my eyes. Goodbye. No, scratch that. Good riddance. The ride took 2 days and 1 night, a bone-jarring journey that left me numb from the waist down. The further west we went, the more desolate the landscape became. Nothing but endless stretches of brown dirt and rock. We finally arrived at our destination, a dilapidated forward operating base in the middle of nowhere. It made our barracks back home look like a 5-star hotel. The wind whipped sand into your mouth with every breath. An old Sergeant First Class was there to greet us. His face was weathered like tree bark from the wind, but his smile was wide and his teeth were white. Welcome, boys. We've been waiting for you. The conditions are rough, but we appreciate you being here. We got off the bus and were assigned to our quarters, a large, open-bay bunkhouse. I'd barely dropped my gear when the assembly whistle blew. The sergeant led us straight to the disaster site. Man, it was bad. A huge section of the line was completely wiped out. Concrete utility poles snapped and twisted in the mudslide debris. You see the situation? The sergeant yelled over the howling wind. The job is big, and the timeline is short. We're splitting into 3 crews, working 24-hour rotations. We need to get comms back up ASAP. Huh, we all yell back. We got to work immediately. Hauling concrete poles, digging new footings, stringing cable. It was all brutal physical labor. The wind was relentless, the sun was scorching, and within minutes we were all covered in a thick layer of sweat and grime, looking like mud-caked monsters. I gritted my teeth and kept working, my movements powerful and steady. I had a fire burning in my gut, and I channeled all of it into the work. Sweat poured into my eyes, stinging like hell, but it felt incredible. This was 1,000 times better than looking at Ava's fake, smiling face. We worked for hours, long after the sun went down, using floodlights to see. When the chow truck arrived, it was just bread and pickles, but it was more than enough. I grabbed a piece of bread and shoved it in my mouth, sand and all. It was the best meal I'd ever had. The sergeant noticed how hard I was working and came over. You're a machine, kid. What's your unit? Your name? Ryan Pierce, I said, wiping a mixture of sweat and mud from my face. All right, Ryan Pierce. You're the real deal. The sergeant grinned. From now on, you're leading the crew on the toughest section up top. You got it, Sarge. I shot back without hesitation. Back in the bunkhouse that night, I was so tired I could barely lift my arms. I collapsed onto my bunk. The room reeked of sweat and dirty socks, but to me, it was the freshest air I had breathed in days. Some of the guys were whispering, talking about their families, their girlfriends. I didn't join in, just listen with my eyes closed. Someone asked me, "Hey, Ree, I heard. You were about to get married?" What? I didn't even open my eyes. It's off. She was playing me. No cheat. What happened? A few of them asked, their interest piqued. Nothing, I said, rolling over to face the wall. Met the wrong person, was blind for a while. Came out here to get my eyes checked. They got the hint and dropped it. Soon, the sound of snoring filled the room. I lay there in the darkness, listening to the wind howl outside, feeling a profound sense of peace. It was over. It was all fucking over. This was my new life. It had just begun. Let's see what I can make of myself out here in the middle of nowhere. Ava didn't sleep at all that night. Her mind replayed Ryan's final look, cold, disgusted, like he was looking at a piece of trash. And his words, every single one, was a red-hot poker searing her insides. How'd he know? How could he possibly know about that night? She couldn't let herself think about it. A massive wave of fear gripped her heart, making it hard to breathe. He was gone now. Would he expose her? If the agency found out, her career, her entire life, would be over. With a trembling hand, she picked up the phone and dialed the number for the deployment's lead officer in Wyoming. The call went through, but the line was crackling with static and background noise. Hello, this is Deputy Chief Evans. Who is this? Chief Evans? This is Director Ava Vance from the Denver office. I'm calling about one of my team members, Ryan Pierce. Before she could finish, he cut her off. Vance. Right. Pierce, he said. Hell of a worker, that kid. Volunteered right away, great attitude. We just got on site, we're swamped. Whatever it is, can it wait? Click. He hung up. Ava listened to the dial tone, her heart sinking. That door was closed. The next afternoon, the inevitable happened. The division head called her into his office. He sat behind his desk, his expression serious. Ava, I've been hearing some rumors about you and Ryan Pierce. He adjusted his glasses. Normally, the agency doesn't get involved in personal matters. However, we need to be mindful of appearances, especially now that Pierce has been deployed on a critical mission. Your situation back here. Ava immediately went on the defensive, her voice cracking. Sir, I assure you, it's all just a misunderstanding between Ryan and me. It will not affect my work in any way. I promise I will handle my personal affairs and not cause any trouble for the agency. She prayed he wouldn't ask what the misunderstanding was. The division head watched her for a moment, then sighed. See that you do. You're a valuable director here. For the time being, I'm reassigning some of your direct reports. Focus on handling your personal issues. Ava's stomach dropped. This was a demotion in all but name. She locked herself in her office, unable to eat or drink all day. As evening fell, her phone rang again. It was her mother. The second she answered, her mother started sobbing. Ava, what in God's name is going on? Ryan's mother just called me, screaming her head off. She said our family conned them. That you're, oh sweet Lord. The humiliation. Is what Ryan said true? Tell me the truth. Ava held the phone, her lips trembling, unable to say a word as silent tears streamed down her face. Say something. You're going to give me a heart attack. Is it because of Caleb? Did he do something to you? I always said there was something shifty about that boy. Mom, just stop. Ava finally screamed, her voice raw. Just stay out of my business. She slammed the phone down and collapsed on her desk, her shoulders shaking as she finally broke down into gut-wrenching sobs. Did she regret it? She didn't know. Right now, all she felt was fear, terrified of being disgraced, of her career being ruined, of becoming a laughingstock. As if possessed, she picked up the phone again and dialed Caleb's international number. It rang for a long time before he picked up, his voice groggy and annoyed. Yeah? Who is this? It's the middle of the night here. Caleb, it's me, Ava, she said, her voice thick with tears, as if she were grabbing onto her last hope. Ava, what's wrong? Why are you crying? Caleb's tone sharpened slightly. It's bad. Ryan, he knows everything. He left. He went to Wyoming, and he threatened to expose us. She explained everything in a panicked, incoherent rush. There was a moment of silence on the other end. Then Caleb's voice turned to ice. He knows what? How did you let that happen? How could he find out about something like that? I don't know how he found out. He just suddenly... Ava was stunned by his accusatory tone. All right, crying isn't going to fix anything. Caleb interrupted impatiently. I'm on the other side of the world. I can't do anything from here. You need to calm him down. Seduce him, plead with him, do whatever it takes to get the wedding back on track. Make sure he keeps his mouth shut. Do you hear me? But he... No, Vats. My fellowship project is at a critical stage. Don't cause problems for me. I have to go. Beep, beep, beep. He had hung up on her without a second thought. Ava listened to the dial tone, frozen. She had been hoping for a little comfort, even just a single kind word. Instead, all she got was blame and annoyance. She slowly lowered the receiver, a chilling numbness spreading through her body. For the first time, she truly understood. The man who had once treated her like a queen, who would have done anything for her, was never coming back. And the man she had secretly dreamed of, the one she thought was her true love, he wasn't going to save her. Her work life became a form of solitary confinement. Director, here's that file. A junior analyst would tiptoe to her desk, avoiding eye contact, and practically flee the room. Even the office suck-up who was always trying to get on her good side now, just poked his head in, yelled, "Left the report on your desk, Director," and vanished. She tried to bury herself in the trivial tasks she was still allowed to manage, but her mind wouldn't quiet down. Her mother called several more times, crying, screaming, calling Ryan heartless one minute and calling her a fool the next, demanding to know if the rumors were true. Finally, Ava snapped. Yes, it's all true. Are you happy now? Her mother's response was a howl of despair, accusing her of disgracing the family name. It felt like the entire world was collapsing. And it was all because of a few words from Ryan. She hated him with a burning passion, but she was also terrified of him. He was out there in Wyoming, a ticking time bomb. Had he already told his superiors? Had he written a formal complaint? She lived in a constant state of anxiety. Every phone call made her jump. Every time someone from HR walked past her office, her blood ran cold. The stress was driving her insane. She had to do something. She had to at least get a sense of what Ryan was planning, to convince him to stay quiet. She called the Wyoming base again. After being transferred several times and waiting for what felt like an eternity, a gruff voice answered, the background filled with chaotic noise. Yeah, who are you looking for? I'm trying to reach Ryan Pierce, Ava said, trying to keep her voice steady. Pierce? Which one? We got a few crews out here, the man grumbled. The one from the Denver office, Ryan. Oh, you mean the psycho who works like a damn machine, the voice boomed. Hang on, I'll give a yell. Hey, Pierce. Phone. Some woman for you. Ava's heart leaped in her throat. She could hear the wind howling through the line, the clang of metal on metal. After a moment, she heard footsteps approaching. Then Ryan's voice, breathless, tired, and filled with an unnerving, distant quality. Hello, who is this? It's me. Ava's throat was dry. There was a 2-second pause. Then his voice became glacial. What do you want? Those 4 words hit her like a punch to the gut. All the speeches she had prepared, the pleading, the threatening, they all died on her lips, frozen by his icy tone. I just wanted to see how you were doing out there. She stammered. Working, eating, sleeping. I'm fine, he replied, his words clipped and hard. He clearly had no interest in small talk. Oh, that's good. Ava gripped the phone, her knuckles white. Listen, Ryan, about what happened. I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Can we please just... No. He cut her off before she could finish, leaving no room for argument. If that's all, I'm hanging up. I'm Busse. Don't hang up, Ava cried, her voice breaking. Ryan, I'm begging you. That whole thing. Can you just pretend it never happened? Don't tell anyone. Please, for the sake of what we used to have. A faint, cold laugh echoed down the line, so chilling it made the hairs on her arm stand up. Director Vance, he said, the sarcasm dripping from his voice. What we used to have. Do you really believe that? Do you? Don't worry. His voice was as hard as iron. I don't have the time or the energy to go around talking about your pathetic drama. But let me make one thing clear. From the moment you decided to lie to me, we were done. What happens to you from now on is not my problem. And don't ever call me again. It's annoying. Click. Before Ava could even process it, he had hung up. She listened to the dial tone, feeling as if all the strength had been sucked out of her body. She slumped in her chair, a cold dread washing over her. He hadn't told anyone. He wasn't going to for now. The thought gave her a brief moment of relief, but it was quickly followed by a deeper despair. The finality in his voice was absolute. There was no going back. As she sat there, numb, there was a knock on her office door. She quickly wiped her face and tried to compose herself. Comain. It was an administrator from the division head's office, holding a folder, his expression unreadable. Ava's heart hammered against her ribs. Her palms grew slick with sweat. This is it. Did Ryan. Ava Vance. The administrator began, his voice flat. We've received notification that your cousin, Caleb Vance, has had his government-sponsored fellowship revoked, effective immediately. The agency asked me to inform you, so that you can encourage him to accept the decision gracefully. Revoke. Ava looked up, her mind reeling. The news hit her harder than a formal reprimand. Why? On what grounds? The administrator gave her a complicated look. The specific reasons are confidential. It seems some issues were discovered during the final background check. In any case, you've been notified. He placed a folder on her desk and left. Ava sat frozen, unable to move. Caleb's fellowship was revoked. Issues in his background check. A horrifying thought clawed its way into her mind, making her shiver. Ryan. It had to be him. Not only did he leave, but he took his revenge. He had destroyed Caleb's future. How could he? How dare he? Panic and rage warred within her, making her tremble. She snatched the phone, her first instinct to call Wyoming and scream at Ryan. But her finger hovered over the keypad. She couldn't bring herself to dial. She remembered the ice in his voice. Don't ever call me again. It's annoying. She remembered his merciless taunts. She couldn't do it. She was genuinely afraid of him now. She let her hand fall, a crushing sense of powerlessness overwhelming her. Ryan was gone, having cut ties completely, and he had stabbed him in the back on his way out. Caleb was ruined, his future in tatters. And based on his tone during their last call. And her reputation was destroyed, her authority at work stripped away. She was the butt of every joke. In the span of a few days, she had lost everything. Suddenly, she felt a flutter in her stomach. The baby. Ava instinctively placed a hand on her belly. The tiny life inside was a stark contrast to the cold, empty fear that consumed her. This child, what is she going to do now? Seven right, Caleb. He was rude on the phone last time, but that was just the stress of being overseas. Now that he was back, his future ruined, he would need her comfort more than ever. They were the ones who were truly in love. Now that they were both at rock bottom, they could finally be together, right? Maybe he would want this child. The thought, once it took root, was impossible to shake. She willfully ignored the memory of his cold, impatient voice, focusing instead on the memory of his compliments, his admiring glances. Yes, Caleb wasn't a brute like Ryan. He was sophisticated. He understood real connection. He was just shaken by this setback. She had to see him. Right now. She found his flight information, took the day off, and waited at the airport arrivals gate for hours. She had deliberately worn a loose-fitting coat, hoping to hide the slight swell of her belly. She'd even put on makeup to mask how haggard she looked. Finally, she saw him emerge with the crowd. Caleb was pulling a suitcase, his face dark and sullen. He looked thinner, more defeated than when he had left. Caleb, Ava called out, pushing through the crowd, her voice filled with an urgent, wounded tone she hadn't realized was there. He looked up. When he saw her, his brow furrowed in annoyance. There was no flicker of warmth in his eyes, only irritation and, was that disgust? What are you doing here? He stopped, his voice hard. He glanced around nervously, as if he was afraid of being seen with her. Ava's heart sank, but she forced a smile. I came to pick you up. Are you okay? I heard about what happened. Heard what? That I got screwed over, lost my fellowship, and became a laughingstock to everyone we know. Caleb sneered, cutting her off. Yeah, thanks to you. Ava's face went pale. How could it be my fault? Caleb, listen to me, it was Ryan. It had to be him. He found out about us. And this is his revenge. And I told you to handle him, didn't I? Caleb took a step closer, his voice a venomous whisper. Ava, did you slip up? Were you stupid enough to let him trick you into saying something? I knew it. Getting involved with you is nothing but trouble. The cruelty in his eyes made Ava recoil. Tears welled up instantly. I don't know how. He just suddenly. You don't know? You think I don't know fixes anything. The contempt in his gaze was absolute. Look at the mess you've made. You've ruined my entire future. How can you blame this all on me? Ava's voice rose, before she quickly lowered it again. We both wanted this. Don't you remember that night before you left? Shut up, Caleb hissed, shooting another panicked look around the terminal. Don't talk about that night. It was a mistake. A drunken mistake. Do you understand? A mistake? The word hit Ava like a physical blow. She stared at him, stunned. Caleb took a deep breath, trying to rein in his anger, but his next words were even more brutal. Ava, listen to me. As of right now, you and I have nothing to do with each other. From now on, you stay the hell away from me. Got it? You? How can you say that? Ava's voice trembled with disbelief. What about the baby? I'm carrying your child. Caleb's face twisted in revulsion. He shot a disgusted glance at her stomach, his voice cold and final. My child? How do you know it's mine? And even if it is, what does that have to do with me? You figure out how to get rid of it. Don't even think about pinning it on me. Get rid of it? Pinning it on him? An icy chill shot up from Ava's feet, freezing her to the core. She looked at the man in front of her. This face, the one she once found so handsome and intelligent, now seemed ugly and distorted. Caleb, you're a monster, she whispered, her lips trembling. I don't need you to judge me, he snapped, all pretense gone. I'll say it one last time. Get lost. Stop bothering me. I have enough problems without being associated with you and that psycho Ryan. You're bad luck. With that, he yanked his suitcase and walked around her as if she were a piece of garbage, disappearing into the crowd without a single backward glance. Ava stood frozen, watching him go. The noise of the airport seemed to fade into a dull roar. The bright fluorescent lights stabbed at her eyes. Wrong. It was all wrong. The great love she thought she had was nothing but a cruel joke. The cultured gentleman she admired was, underneath it all, a selfish, cold-hearted coward. For a foolish fantasy, she had destroyed the one man who had ever truly cherished her. And in return, she got, it was a mistake, and get rid of it. A tidal wave of regret and despair crashed over her. It wasn't regret for hurting Ryan. It was regret for being so blind. Regret for betting on the wrong man, for ending up in this desperate, hopeless situation. She didn't know how she got out of the airport, how she made it home. She collapsed on her bed, her tears long gone, replaced by a hollow numbness. Her phone rang for a long time before she mechanically picked it up. It was her mother. She answered, and the wailing began immediately. "Ava, where have you been? Caleb's mother just called. She screamed at me for 10 minutes. Said you were a shameless homewrecker who seduced her son and ruined his future. Said our family has no morals. Told us to keep you on a leash and stop you from harassing her boy. What's going on? Oh, Lord have mercy." Ava listened to her mother's hysterical accusations, unable to speak. She slowly moved the phone away from her ear and tossed it aside, her mother's voice fading into meaningless noise. It was over. Everything was over. Ryan was gone. Caleb despised her. Her family was a source of shame, not comfort. She raised a hand and slowly placed it on her stomach. This child inside her, the one she had once thought could be leveraged to keep Caleb, and then Ryan. It was now nothing but a brand of her shame, the final straw that would break her. What was she going to do? My life fell into a simple rhythm. The only time I thought about Ava and Caleb was in the occasional nightmare. When I was awake, I had almost completely forgotten about them. Until one day, I was at the temporary command post dropping off some reports and overheard two of the staff officers talking. One of them said, "Hey, you hear the latest from the Denver office? Pretty juicy." The other one grunted. "What news could there be from that far away? Nothing ever happens out here. It's about that whole mess with the wedding, the guy who ended up on our deployment." My ears perked up. I slowed my pace, listening intently. "Oh, right. The fiancé was a director, right? Vance or something. That's the one. Well, get this, her cousin, that Caleb guy, the one with the big fellowship to England, it got revoked." "What? No way. I thought that kid had connections." "Who knows? Rumor is he failed the final background check. Something about a morals clause violation got reported. Anyway, he's back in the States with his tail between his legs. Talk about a public humiliation." My heart skipped a beat. That wasn't me. I hadn't gotten around to doing anything yet. Who was this guardian angel? Well, whoever it was, they did a damn fine job. I suppressed a smile, kept my face neutral, and walked in to hand over my reports. The two officers saw me and immediately clammed up, awkwardly changing the subject. As I walked out, I felt a spring in my step. That bastard Caleb finally got what was coming to him. Serve him right for being a smug, cheating piece of shit. A few days later, I was shooting the breeze with the guys when the comms clerk came running over. "Pierce, phone call for you. Sounds like a woman." "A woman?" My stomach tightened. It couldn't be. I took the phone, my tone wary. "Hello, who is this?" A hesitant, vaguely familiar female voice came through the crackling line. Is this Ryan? It's Chloe." "Chloe?" It took me a second. She was the young administrative assistant from Ava's office, the one who always had a cheerful, "Hey, Ryan," for me. "Oh, Chloe. Hey, what's up?" I softened my voice, though I still had to yell to be heard over the poor connection. "Ryan, are you doing okay out there?" she asked, her voice small. "Never better. Getting paid to work out. What's going on?" I didn't have the patience for beating around the bush. There was a pause, as if she was building up her courage. "Ryan, I thought you should know. Director Vance took the day off today to go to the airport." "The airport? To meet Caleb?" Figure she'd be quick about it, I thought with a sneer. "So, what's it got to do with me?" I shot back. "No, it's not that." Chloe's voice dropped even lower, now laced with a gossipy excitement. "It's just, when she came back, her face was a total wreck. Her eyes were swollen shut. It looked like she'd been in a huge fight. And I was starting to get interested. And then, she just locked herself in her office and didn't come out. A little while later, Kayla Vance's mother called our office line, and when she couldn't get a hold of Ava, she just started screaming at me. Said Ava was a shameless slut who seduced her son and ruined his future, and told me to pass on a message that Ava should stop harassing him. Chloe recounted the story with relish. I had to bite my lip to keep from laughing out loud. A dog-eat-dog world. It was beautiful. Ryan, do you think Caleb losing his fellowship was that? Chloe asked, her voice trailing off. How would I know? I cut her off immediately. I'm out here eating sand, Chloe. It's got nothing to do with me. Don't go spreading rumors. Oh, right. I get it, she said quickly. I just feel kind of bad for Director Vance. You feel bad for her? My voice went cold. Chloe, there are things you don't know. Don't waste your sympathy. If that's all, I've got to go. We're busy here. Right. You're busy. Talk later, Ryan. She hung up quickly. I put the phone down, feeling fantastic. The sun seemed brighter. The sergeant came over. What's got you grinning like you just found a $100 bill? Better than that, Sarge, I laughed. Heard two scumbags turn on each other. Can't beat that. He didn't really get it, but he laughed along. All right, if you're happy, you got energy. Let's get to work. We're taking that last ridge line today. You got it, I yelled, feeling a fresh surge of adrenaline. That night, lying on my bunk amidst the symphony of snores, I thought about it. Caleb was back, and it sounded like he and Ava were officially over. Those two parasites would probably be too busy destroying each other to bother me anymore. Good. Life out here was hard, but my conscience was clean. They could wallow in the mess they'd made. Out of sight, out of mind. My next step was to find an opportunity, maybe earn a commendation, and get a permanent transfer out here. A true goodbye to the past. As for Ava, whether she regretted it, whether she'd ever try to find me again, not my fucking problem. Even if she was dying of regret, as far as I was concerned, that chapter of my life was closed for good. Now, the thing about Wyoming is the weather can turn on a dime. 1 minute it's sunny, the next you're in the middle of a gale force wind throwing sand and pebbles in your face. We were on a high ridge, repairing a main trunk line that had been snapped by the wind. It was a remote spot. Vehicles couldn't make it up, so every tool and piece of equipment had to be hauled up by hand. The wind was getting stronger, making it hard to even stand. The sergeant was yelling through a bullhorn, telling everyone to be careful and work fast. Suddenly, we heard a deep crunch from down the slope, followed by a woman screaming and a child crying. What was that? The sergeant yelled. One of the guys on lookout pointed down. Sarge, trouble. Looks like the wind tore apart one of the shepherd's temporary shelters. It collapsed on someone. Shit, the sergeant cursed, then started pointing. Team 2, keep working. Team 1 with me. Grab the med kit. Move. Without a second thought, I grabbed the trauma kit and scrambled down the rocky slope after him. When we got closer, we saw it was a small, crudely built lean-to, now mostly a pile of splintered wood. An old woman in traditional native dress was pinned under several heavy beams. A young boy, maybe 7 or 8, was screaming his head off next to her. A young woman was desperately trying to lift the beams, sweat and tears mixing on her face. Get back. Let us handle it, the sergeant yelled as we rushed in. The beams were thick and heavy, and the wind made it hard to get a good grip. I spotted the main beam pinning her legs. On my count, 1, 2, 3, lift, I roared. It took 4 of us, straining together, to finally move it. The young woman rushed to the old woman's side, speaking rapidly in a language I didn't recognize, her voice choked with panic. The old woman was pale and moaning, her leg clearly in bad shape. The sergeant did a quick assessment, his brow furrowed. We need to get her to the clinic now. Looks like a compound fracture. Someone get a backboard. Make a damn stretcher. We scrambled to find materials. The young woman wiped her tears and started helping, her movements surprisingly efficient. She glanced up at me, her English accented. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's okay. We're here to help, I said, not looking at her, as I focused on tying knots. The wind was a nightmare. The sergeant looked at the sky. This damn weather. The truck won't make it up here for a while. We'll have to carry her down. The path was treacherous, and the wind was blinding. Carrying a person made it 10 times harder. The young woman and the little boy followed us the whole way. She kept adjusting the blanket over the old woman, her face etched with worry. We finally made it down to a passable access road, just as the clinic's beat-up old pickup truck skidded to a stop. A medic and a nurse jumped out and took over. The young woman finally seemed to relax, turning to us and bowing repeatedly. Thank you, really. If it weren't for you, my grandmother. Don't worry about it. Anyone would have done the same, the sergeant said, waving her off. Go on, get to the clinic with her. The woman grabbed the little boy and climbed into the back of the truck. Just before it pulled away, she leaned out and yelled, her voice clear and strong. My name is Cassidy. Thank you. The truck disappeared in a cloud of dust. We all looked at each other, covered in dirt and sweat, exhausted but no one complaining. The sergeant pounded his lower back. All right, she's safe. Our job's not done. Back to work. It took another half day of fighting the wind, but we finally got the line temporarily patched. On the ride back to base, we were all too tired to speak. A few days later, we were back at the base on a rest day when the gate guard yelled, Pierce, you got a visitor. I was confused. Who will be looking for me out here? I walked to the gate and stopped short. It was the young woman, Cassidy. She was wearing clean clothes, her dark hair neatly braided. She was holding a cloth bag, her cheeks flushed from the wind. How did you find this place? I asked, surprised. I asked the doctor at the clinic. He told me you were from the Response Corps base out here. She smiled shyly, holding out the bag. My grandmother is doing much better. She insisted I come and thank you all. This is some homemade cheese curd and jerky from our ranch. For you and your friends. I was at a loss. We had strict rules about accepting gifts from civilians. No, I can't take this, I said, holding up my hands. We have regulations. It's just from our home. It's not worth anything. It's just a thank you, she insisted, pushing the bag into my hands, her eyes sincere. You saved my grandmother's life. This is nothing compared to that. Please take it. Just then, the sergeant wandered over. He saw what was happening and laughed. A gift from a local? Take it, Pierce. Don't be rude. We'll give it to the mess hall. Everyone can have some. With the sergeant's blessing, I took the heavy bag. Well, thank you. Cassidy's smile widened, her eyes lighting up. We should be thanking you. Hey, what was your name again? Ryan. Ryan, she repeated, nodding. I'll remember that. If your unit ever needs help with anything, just come find me at the Crossroads Ranch. I know my way around these parts. She said a few more words of thanks, then turned and walked away with a light, confident stride. I stood there for a moment, holding the bag of food. That girl, she was the real deal. Our deployment got extended, so we ended up interacting more with the local ranchers. Sometimes we'd help them mend a fence line. Sometimes they'd bring us fresh milk. I saw Cassidy a few more times. Her English wasn't perfect, but she was never afraid to speak her mind. She had a loud, infectious laugh. She wasn't like any of the women I had known before. There were no games, no hidden meanings. She was straightforward, hardworking, and she remembered who was good to her. One time, we were helping her ranch string up a new power line. We worked late into the evening. She came out with a large thermos of hot, sweet coffee, pouring a cup for each of us. When she got to me, she said, You drink extra, Ryan. You were hauling those poles like a machine today. I took the steaming mug. The rich aroma filled the cold air. I took a sip, and the warmth spread through my whole body. Thanks, I said. For what? She laughed. You guys are the ones doing all the hard work. She moved on to the next guy. I watched her, and for the first time in a long time, I felt something new. I couldn't quite name it. It was just comfortable. It was the complete opposite of the anxious, second-guessing game I'd always played with Ava. Out here, the sky was blue, the earth was brown, and the people seemed to be just as honest and clear. It was good. Then the days blurred into a routine of wind, sweat, and hard work. Before I knew it, I was starting to feel more at home in Wyoming than I ever did back in Denver. Cassidy and I became good friends. She was a straight shooter, and being around her felt easy. I'd almost managed to forget Ava Vance even existed. Until that afternoon. Our crew had just gotten back to base, covered in grime, arguing about who got to hit the showers first. The gate guard ran up to us, a strange look on his face. Pierce, there's a woman at the main gate asking for you. A woman? I paused. Cassidy? No, she wouldn't come all the way to the base unannounced. Not a local, the guard added, his eyes darting away. Looks pretty rough. Says she's from back home. My stomach dropped into my boots. I knew. God damn it. She just won't quit. The sergeant overheard and saw the look on my face. He came over and spoke in a low voice. What is it? From back home? It's not. I set my jaw. Sarge, I'll go handle it. I walked toward the main gate. From a distance, I saw a lone figure standing there, wearing a thin trench coat that was completely out of place. Her hair was a mess in the wind. Her face was pale, and her stomach was now unmistakably pregnant. It was Ava. When she saw me, her eyes lit up, then immediately filled with tears. She started to run towards me, but the guard stopped her. I walked slowly and stopped a few feet away from her. I felt nothing. Not anger, not pity, just a profound sense of annoyance. Ryan, she started, her voice hoarse and choked with tears. I finally found you. What? My voice was as cold as the wind. State your business. I'm Buse. My bluntness seemed to stun her. The tears started to fall in earnest. Ryan, I was wrong. I know I was wrong. It was all my fault. I was an idiot. Caleb Vance manipulated me. She launched into a rambling, incoherent story about how Caleb was a monster, how he had abandoned her, how much she regretted everything, and how she missed the way I used to treat her. She said she couldn't sleep at night, haunted by how good I had been to her. I just listened, feeling absolutely nothing except for a vague urge to laugh. Are you done? I cut her off. If you're done, you can go. Don't waste my time. Seeing my indifference, she grew more desperate. She took a step forward, gesturing at her belly. Ryan, look, this is your child. We were together. Are you really so heartless that you would abandon us? Stop right there. I held up a hand, my face twisting in disgust. Ava, let's get two things straight. First, you were blackout drunk that night. That wasn't being together. That was me making a huge mistake. Second, you know damn well whose kid that is. Don't you dare try to pin that on me. Her face went even whiter. How can you say that? The baby is innocent. Innocent, I sneered. With a mother like you, that kid never had a chance. Why are you here? What do you want? She looked like a cornered animal. Ryan, I'm sorry. I'll get rid of it. I'll do it right now. We can start over, please? We can pretend none of this ever happened. I'll be a good wife to you. I swear I will. I'll do anything. No, I said, the single word cutting through her frantic pleas. She stared at me, dumbfounded. Why? I'm willing to get an abortion. I'm begging you. Ava, I looked her dead in the eye, deciding to make it crystal clear. You still don't get it, do you? This isn't about me being angry, and it's not even about the baby. It's you. I can't stand you. The person you are, inside and out. Your regret isn't about hurting me. It's about Caleb dumping you. You're out of options, so you suddenly remembered old, dependable Ryan. I was her backup plan, right? What do you think I am? A recycling bin for other people's trash. My words stripped away her pathetic act, leaving her exposed and speechless. All she could do was cry. Go home. I said, my patience gone. Go somewhere, have the baby, or don't, I don't care. Find some other sucker to marry. Tell him the father died, heroically. Maybe you can fool him more, Guy. Just stay away from me. We are done. I turned to walk away. Ryan, she shrieked a raw, desperate sound and lunged to grab my arm. Just then, a clear, cheerful voice cut in. Hey, Ryan, everything okay over here? I turned. It was Cassidy, mounted on her horse, a basket in her hand. She was clearly just passing by and was looking at the scene with curiosity. Ava saw her. She saw the way Cassidy looked at me, the way my entire posture softened at the sound of her voice. Understanding seemed to dawn on Ava's face, and all the color drained away. She pointed a trembling finger at me. Oh, who is she? Ryan, you already found someone else. Cassidy blinked, looking from me to the hysterical woman at the gate. She seemed to grasp the situation and wisely stayed quiet. I didn't bother explaining to Ava. I just turned to Cassidy. It's nothing. An old acquaintance from back home. We're finished here. Then I looked back at Ava one last time. See? I'm doing fine out here. I have a new life, new friends. You are a ghost from past life. Don't come back. Have some self-respect. Goodbye. I didn't wait for a response. I walked over to Cassidy. Let's go. Weren't you bringing something for the mess hall? I'll help you carry it. I took the basket from her, and we walked side by side towards the base entrance. Behind us, I could hear Ava finally break down into loud, ragged sobs. The wind was strong. It carried the sound away until it was gone. Cassidy was curious but didn't press. That woman, she seemed really upset. She brought it on herself. Don't worry about it. Okay. After a few steps, she turned to me, her eyes bright. Hey, the ranch is having a bonfire tonight. You should come. We're roasting a whole lamb. I'll be there, I said, without a moment's hesitation. 11 that night. The bonfire at the ranch was incredible. The smell of roasting lamb filled the air, and the whole crew from the base was there. It was loud and lively. Cassidy, dressed in a beautiful embroidered jacket, handed me a large bowl of whiskey, her eyes sparkling in the firelight. Ryan, drink up. I took the bowl and downed it in one go. It burned all the way down, but it felt good. She laughed, her face glowing. Later, everyone started dancing around the fire. Cassidy was pulled into a circle by her sisters and cousins, her laughter ringing out. After a while, she ran over to me, holding out her hand. Ryan, come on, dance. I immediately shook my head. I have no idea how to do that. Who cares? Just have fun. She grabbed my hand and pulled me into the swirling crowd. I stumbled around awkwardly, but everyone was laughing and singing. Cassidy was right beside me, her eyes curved in a happy crescent. In that moment, watching her smile, surrounded by the vast, open land and these honest, joyful people, I felt a sense of peace I had never known before. Ava left after that day. I heard she was a mess, but honestly, I didn't care. That final, ugly loose end was finally cut. Life went on. The main repair mission was winding down, but there was still plenty of maintenance work to do. Cassidy and I grew closer. There were no games with her. When her ranch needed help, our crew was there. When it had a good harvest, they always shared with us. The guys at the base started giving me knowing looks whenever Cassidy was around. Big Mike cornered me one day. So Ree, when's the wedding? These Wyoming girls are keepers, man. I shoved him. Get out of here. Don't be an idiot. But deep down, I wasn't really angry. Even the sergeant pulled me aside for a serious talk. Pierce, that Cassidy is a good woman. If you're serious about her, you should put in for a permanent transfer. It's tough out here, but it's an honest life. It suits a guy like you. A hell of a lot better than going back to deal with all that drama. I thought about his words. I didn't answer right away, but the idea took root. Go back. For what? To see that cheating pair? To listen to office gossip? Life was better here. Sometime later, I had to go to the regional headquarters to deliver a report. I ran into an old army buddy who now had a desk job there. He grabbed my arm. Holy shit. Ryan, is it you? I almost didn't recognize you. You're as dark as a piece of coal. It's called a healthy tan, you desk jockey, I said, punching his shoulder. He pulled me aside, his voice low. Man, you were smart to get out here. You hear what happened to your old fiancée and her cousin? I raised an eyebrow. Who? Ancient history. Well, Ava Vance apparently terminated the pregnancy and then got transferred to some dead-end post in the middle of nowhere. Completely fell off the map. Her family was humiliated. I just nodded, feeling nothing. And get this, my buddy continued, warming to his subject. Caleb Vance. After his fellowship got yanked, his reputation was so trash that no one would hire him. Last I heard, he's living with his parents, drinking and gambling all day. A total washout. Good, I thought. Sound about right, was all I said. My friend looked at my flat expression, a little disappointed. Dude, are you really over it? It was never a big deal to begin with, I said, clapping his shoulder. Gotta go. Work to do. On the drive back to the base, the wind whipped against the truck, but I didn't feel the cold. I felt clean. All the anger, all the bitterness, it was finally gone. They got what they deserved, and I got a new beginning. On the last day of the deployment, they held a ceremony to thank the visiting teams. The top brass from regional command were there. When they called my name for a commendation, the commanding general added a few words, praising my work ethic and asking if I had considered staying on in the Wyoming sector. The guys from my crew started chanting, "Stay, stay, stay." I stood at attention, and without a trace of doubt, I said in a loud, clear voice, "Sir, I would like to request a permanent transfer. I want to put down roots here and serve on the frontier." "Excellent," the general said, leading the applause. And so I stayed. All that mess from before felt like a bad dream. Now I was awake. My new life was here, and it was good. Later, I submitted the paperwork to get married. Later still, I was a husband and then a father. My roots sunk deep into the soil of Wyoming. Life was simple, but it was real. What happened to Ava and Caleb? Who knows? And who the hell cares?